Welcome back to Masas de Comadres. My name is Mimi. Lola is not here today. She is out. She's feeling a little bit sick. And just wish her the best luck and hope she gets better soon. But we do have a guest today. You would like to introduce yourself?
Yes, absolutely. I'm Nadia with Deziner Clay.
Okay, Deziner Clay. When you explained to me, I was like, oh, great. I know how to pronounce it.
It makes sense.
I kind of figured it meant that, but I'm like, I don't want to like mess it up,
Yeah.
you know? But good thing you did clarify. It's like, oh, okay, cool. It's just a cool way of saying designer.
Yeah.
We do have her here, so we're gonna ask her some questions about her own business, and she also has another business that she runs too, and I want her to talk a little bit more about it. And it's great that it just fits with everything, the networking and like extending those hands and that help with other businesses trying to get out there here in San Antonio. So I definitely would like to pick her brain a little bit later.
Yeah.
But like we always do, we always want to talk about, we pretty much catch up. This is our chisme time, we kind of just share anything that's happening in our lives. But mine is pretty much, so we most of the comas is trying to start it out like a activity / social kind of networking or getting together. So we start off usually with 2 healthy, like, get active workouts,
Okay.
We did water Zumba this month, and we did, what was the other one? We did a walk this month as well, La Gloria. And we ended up usually doing something fun afterwards. So we did those already, and then we already did dance karaoke. Actually, it was last night. It was Saturday. Everybody turned out, and it was fun. And listening to people not be in one set of key or whatever.
Yes.
But that's what it's all about. Because usually at Dad's, we've gone to like where the singers are really good.
I was about to say that. At Dad's, they're like professionals.
Yes.
They truly are.
But we got a really young crowd, so they were not good at all. They were just too drunk and just having a good time, which I enjoy. But they were just like, they were actually pretty much a lot of like rap songs and a lot of like more recent songs last night. But I appreciate it just because it was like one good singer from like the whole night. So I mean that at least was encourageable, right? You don't have to be like so feel like, oh damn, I have to follow her or him.
You're like, it's actually fun
It's
tonight.
it's actually karaoke, nobody's a star here. But it was a good night. The next one we're gonna have is gonna be adult bingo, pretty much just dirty bingo. Deco Pizzeria hosts it every Wednesday. Actually, the bingo is free. You just have to go and support the business. So, pizza, wings, and it's hosted by one of the boutiques here. Oh my goodness, I forgot the name, but I will definitely post it in the post. But it's definitely free. And we met the owner actually one night bar hopping. He was actually talking about it, and that's how we found out about it.
Really?
Yeah.
That sounds like so much fun.
It was a good time. He was a very nice man, and he was talking about it. Like, yeah, and sometimes we even come over to this bar afterwards. And I'm like, oh my god, okay. So it's very welcoming. So we're definitely gonna try out next Wednesday, and I will post on our Facebook and our Insta like what the times and so forth. So definitely welcome anybody to come out. We're always wanting to get loud with other people as well. So it's always welcome. Actually, this episode's come after a teenager episode we had. In that teenager episode, just, FYI, they're just girls, sharing as much as they could. But I really do want to touch base on one of the episodes before. I know there was a lot of stuff touching base regarding therapy. And so I want to kind of push in my own therapy because, I kind of mentioned last time, like, oh, we all go in this home, we all go to therapy. My kids go to therapy. And as well as myself, I have mentioned before as well. I've become like, more open in the pod, and which is fine because I know there's other people that relate to it. We do go to couples therapy, and we finally found a therapist that works for us.
Okay.
And so I feel like that's really helped us manage our communication.
Yes.
And the plus side, my partner actually decided to do individual counseling with that same therapist, which is actually really good. It's helping all around. Highly recommended. Highly recommended. It's hard because you are gonna have to be honest and do all this stuff, but at the end of the day, it's really gonna ultimately just enhance the relationship and also the kids seeing a relationship that's healthier for them as well.
Right.
But yeah, and I did want to touch base on regarding my whole therapy because I know I mentioned and I touch base like I'm ready to kick him out kind of thing in this pod. He's still here. He's still like kicking. So that's good. And the plus side is actually we're getting like a good help from this therapist. And I do highly recommend Therapy Den. Just because it's a very alternate search from Google, because you can actually like really pretty specific, like what kind of therapist you want. There's even therapists there if you like so in the kink lifestyle, if you're in like a different lifestyle, non-traditional relationship lifestyle, you can actually put those in a search and that you will actually see therapists who are licensed, who have experience in that. LGBTQ plus, if you want to speak with somebody in that, generational patterns and all those, they're very specific and like they cover all this generational trauma. So I found very interesting therapists in that therapy den website. It's not anything like, I'm not getting paid for this, but I found it so interesting because who knew? Because in the regular Google search, you wouldn't like find these type of therapists.
Right.
But there, I was able to find like there's a lot of people were talking about like generational trauma therapy and how they would go with that. And I thought that was very interesting because it's not the norm that you would hear or find through your insurance coverage or through your Google search. I really recommend Therapy Den if you guys are interested or wanting to go through that route. But that's enough of my whole spiel of counseling because I feel like that's important a little bit. Besides that, let's go ahead and just jump into our No Plus Wow segment. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but for the ones who are not, it's pretty much a segment where we can talk about whatever's going on in San Antonio, Texas, United States, in our own private lives that make us go like no plus wow, you know? Most wow moments that I do want to touch bases on. SA Speak Up Art. It was like an article. They kind of like tricked me on the article because I thought they were gonna like talk about like no more murals in San Antonio, but there has been some kind of talk about that. I don't know, have you heard around the community or people around us that kind of don't agree with the whole murals in San Antonio? It's pretty much Ron Nuremberg just asking if we should continue with the murals in San Antonio.
That's right, yes.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw that article or not, but it's pretty much just talking about that, and they are going to have some couple of meetings coming up in August. Well, the one just passed, August 5th, August 16th passed, but the other one is coming up on August 30th at 5:30 at the Great Northwest Library. They're all virtual, so you can always go in. But they're just going to be discussing like the future projects that they're going to have.
Right.
And they want like the community's input about it. So that's pretty much what they're talking about. I thought they were going to say no more murals. Like, is this up for a vote?
That's what I understood as well.
So that's what I understood. But then when I started reading into the article, it was just more about like, oh, this is what they're going to be discussing. And they're not taking it away, but they're just, telling us this is the project. We want your input, kind of thing. So I was like, oh, okay, good. But yeah, at the same note though, I have heard some people really complain about the murals downtown San Antonio. What do you think about that whole debate going on?
I absolutely love them, to be quite honest. I do love when they're like culturally appropriate with the city. Of course, we celebrate like the Hispanic culture like year round. So I want to see a lot more of that. And I would love to see like local artists being contracted to paint more murals like that. Like you go to the bigger cities. I know when I go do content in different cities, the easiest search for me is to find a mural because there's a background already. So I can take pictures, I can do videos, I can showcase that part of the city. So I really love them. I feel like there's not enough exposure to them. Like I know there's this one Instagram page where I think it's called SA Murals. Okay. And they take pictures of them and like you can go and see where the murals are at. But they don't highlight all of them. And so I'm like, where are the rest of them? Like, I need you to post more often.
Yeah, no, I do love like driving around the city and just seeing the murals like, oh, there's a new one here. There's this one here. Yes. So I really do like that. I do like how they enrich the community. I do want it to be more Latino, but also like everybody in the community, like, everybody who's be inclusive, right? And of course, I do agree with like hiring the local artists here to do these murals. And just going back into the community, but I do love seeing it, but I do hear a lot of people complain about it just because of the taxes, and all this stuff, it's not free money, it's being taxed for the citizens to pay these artists and murals. So that's always the argument that they're always throwing out there. A lot of people say it's graffiti, it's, because it's not the typical museum art that you're going to see. Right. But at the end of the day, San Antonio, I think that pretty much sums up San Antonio. Is very urban still, it is very urban. And I just like seeing it. I do feel like it adds value and adds like, there's a lot of like bike murals, bike ride, but I cannot last on a bike ride. I can't do it. I'm like, can you push me in those buggies? And
I have bad knees. I get it.
Yeah, I know. I can't do it for that long. I gave up on my kids. We went on a bike ride from the Pearl to downtown. I was like, I'll catch you guys up later. Like, I'll be there in 30 minutes, I promise.
Yeah.
And they're like doing like 5 laps around me. I was like, oh my God, just like, you know, be my security guard so I can cross the damn street, you know? I was so out of breath. And they're like, let's do the mural. I was like, no, I can't do it. Like,
Yeah, that's too
put
much.
me in a little doggy, like, buggy thing, you know, if y'all can like really do it. But yeah, but there's those. And we've been actually wanting to have like, do a set up like a walk mural, kind of like just like pick a location where we know there's gonna be a lot of murals. So that we're not like, you know, walking like miles. But we wanted to do that. But like once the weather starts like cooperating, right now it's way too hot still. But yeah, I definitely do feel like it adds value, it represents everybody, and especially like now, you know how they're doing these murals for your Valley students, you know, that's so beautiful. And so I don't know, I just feel like it should not go away. And I feel like as the taxpayer, I don't mind, like,
they're spending it on so many more other things that truly don't matter. And if we can spend it on something that's actually adding value to the city and like supporting the community, like the artists, then I'm all for it. I mean,
especially if they're hiring people local, and that, you know, it's great. And then also there's so many projects come up, like from SA Speak Up and these other community groups too, about where they do kind of volunteer hours for young kids to go and like help them out finish a mural. I think that's really important, just because again, you know, the arts are being cut in school and they're not going to have this much experience with that. So for the schools, if the kids who don't have it, they can at least go in these projects and, you know, participate and volunteer. So I don't know, for me, I feel like it should continue. Screw it, like tax money, like come on, what's a couple of dollars, or you know, whatever's being out of your check.
Like literally there's so many potholes and they're not even getting fixed. So like where is the money even going? If there's a mural, at least I know it's going somewhere. Like the pothole's still there.
Oh well, like St. Mary Street's crazy there. It's awful. I don't even know what in the world's going on in there. Like, are we fixing pipes or what are we doing?
Truly,
it's the worst. It's crazy. I don't know. But anyways, that's a whole nother episode of Northwest Wild, talking about how awful our roads are, especially damn St. Mary's. I'm trying to enjoy myself at night. I don't want to be like going through cones. And,
there's just there's too much construction.
So much construction. It's been years of construction too as well. And like hopefully they get to fix all that stuff a little bit sooner. Moving on to our next Northwest Wild, a little bit more of a happier subject to celebrate women. Do you know who Lauren Chamberlain is? I didn't know who she was until I saw the cover.
Actually, no. I'll be quite honest. I don't.
I had to like research, like, who is this? But she's a softball star. You know, she is. I think she's retired. I don't think she's actively in softball, but she is definitely a Oklahoma Sooner legend. She's hit 30 home runs as a freshman in a Big 12 single season record. What that means to me, quién sabe? I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea, but I know that she's really good.
Okay.
But what the main thing is about regarding the cover, how it's a woman's cover, like it's a real body. Have you seen it?
No. Do you mind if
I'll show it to you right now.
Oh, great.
Because I know not everybody. She has a couple of these shots here.
I love that.
And then let me see if the other one shows up. In that one,
yes.
You know, so those are like really good like shots of her, and this is actually in the cover, this one right here. So it's just an average, like, you know, looking body.
I love her skin color.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh yes,
everything about it. I think it's perfect, and it shows a real body, nothing too crazy. You know what I mean? It's an average. She's not average, but I'm just saying it's an average compared to like what we're used to seeing these covers, especially ESPN, like these Sports Illustrated covers. It's all bikini model kind of, you know, perfect body.
It's Victoria's Secret style.
Or they go very exaggerated to like the BBL kind of thing, right? And then that, you know how that's a craze right now, having that BBL and that perfect sculpted body, you know, and it's just not reality for a lot of women, and it's just for young kids and even for us in our age, putting all that pressure on that beauty image. It's just crazy. So seeing this is very refreshing, and she pretty much said, you know, she did it for the younger girls out there, and she describes her as a thick, big bone woman. I don't see her as big bone or anything, but that's how she describes herself. But I'm pretty sure it's just because of comparison of like in her world. But she seems very comfortable, and I appreciate that cover, and it's just really nice to see that again. We had an episode about, you know, body image, and we had a nutritionist about, you know, you're healthy at every weight, which is actually really important to understand. And that's like, that's a really good cover for me. I really liked it a lot. That's the only reason why I even like started like Googling her, like, who is this person?
Right.
Because I saw it.
Strangely enough, like there was this small, like limited series from, I think it was HBO Max or Hulu, talking about like the Victoria's Secret, like, almost like their saga, like how they're ending. Have you seen that before?
Yeah.
so they were talking about just like the whole story about them not being inclusive with women and getting backlash because they tried to be inclusive, but then they were still limited. It was like I think like their biggest bone, bigger bone, thicker woman was like a size 6. Yeah. I'm like, that's still like.
Is that in Chinese sizes?
Truly, yeah. That's literally in Old Navy sizes. So they got backlash for doing that, but not going,
like really,
really hard. And so that's when Rihanna, she brought her line. She brought Fenty and like just really became very inclusive. And so the show talks about like that downfall and how, they're trying to do it just to please certain people still. Yeah. Like, oh, they add a woman of color, so now they've checked it. Yeah. Oh, we've added a size 6 versus a 00, so now we check that list. Oh, she's black too. Okay, checklist. Oh, we have an Asian, and it's like that doesn't. It doesn't. You don't get the actual pictures. Yeah. So I love the inclusivity. I wish we could see it more. Yeah. I love when women have the stretch marks because that is very natural. Even just I've been loving women without makeup. Yeah, exactly. And you just getting to see them the way that they are, and it's like that's realness. And this might be a little off topic, but I don't know about like the filters. Oh yeah. Like how did you feel when they shut down the filters on social media?
I was like, damn it, why are you playing with me like that? No, I'm joking. No, it really doesn't bother me that they shut down the filters, but I do like having options. Yes, I just don't want my option taken away from me from someone who's not like, yes, it's by a man and by a white man who's taking away this option for everybody. But yeah, the filters, I understand. Like, well, that's just like. I hardly ever use like the altering ones. Yes. But I know they existed. I know they were there. Some people definitely did use them, and which I'm fine with it. But again, it kind of is a self-hate, kind of a love-hate relationship with those kind of folks. Absolutely. Well, so that's my take on that. But yeah, definitely it's a love-hate situation there with that, and it's I think only affected like Instagram and Facebook, right? Those filters. Yeah. Yeah. Have you ever used those?
Everything else is fine. I've used them when I'm like having like a really bad like light day. Yeah. And I'm like, all right, like my background needs to lighten up a little bit, and I'll use them. But I definitely do find it very funny when people do like the lips. Oh yeah. Like there's this article that came up on. I'm from Del Rio, which is a town 3 hours from here. Yeah. Okay. And I follow like all of the Facebook pages, and there was a police report that came up. And it was about a San Antonio woman who she threatened her boyfriend who lives in Del Rio. And the picture that they used of her is clearly an Instagram filter. And I'm like, why would you even use that? Yeah. But the fact that that's like, maybe that's all they could find on their social media, so that's what they use. I'm like, that is clearly a filter. Yeah. Like that, I couldn't even find her in the street, So maybe just...
I understand now the law of the, let's take away this, but we need to really stop. It's they also refer to it as the catfishing law, too.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah, and that was like very rampant. Do you remember? I think I feel like it's kind of calmed down now, the whole catfishing stage, but it was really bad. Like, it was just a lot of crazy stuff going on. But yeah, that's definitely something. But yeah, I definitely understand why they did it and everything else, too. So with highlighting her, like she inspires people. You did mention Fenty. Did you ever see her show?
No.
Okay, so her Fenty, her runway show after that, it was really nice just because it's very inclusive. And she had like very, very skinny people to like very like the heavier, like the 20, like size 16 and up. And the thing that I have an issue with sometimes is when they promote so much, oh, we have plus size, but they show women with smaller waists, with bigger hips and thighs, or they don't have any type of cellulite on them. So it's like that's what they're willing to highlight. But on her runway, what she had, it was a very all natural. It was really nice. So if you ever get to like see back her show when she actually like released her lingerie line, everything else, it was really nice to see that. It was really nice. And to see like all the shades of color, all the types of women that she showcased. It was really nice. The other one that I do want to bring up regarding that is I just skimmed it. It was an article regarding the first New England she won Miss New England, but she actually won. The reason why it's a big deal because she won as a natural face. Like everybody else had makeup, and she won without any makeup. The first time ever a woman decided to compete without makeup. So you mentioned something you like how seeing women natural.
Yeah.
So that was one that I just saw like before, like coming over here, I was skimming my phone. I was like, oh look, and I saved it for podcast later. You know,
That's
to look
super
into
neat.
it. But that was really nice. I was like, oh man, I need to go back and like read into more. But I just saw it today. I was like, oh yeah, someone just won doing that.
Like it's really neat to know that she was celebrated and like her beauty was seen.
Yeah.
And she didn't have an ounce of makeup.
And her confidence too, just to go against other women who are like the specialist, the makeup artist on them. That's a big stuff and like bravery for her. So any women or any people around in your neck of the community, like hustlers, like women who you inspire, like man, these are like top tier women, like you feel like man, you kind of admire them for anything, or anybody who you look up to or you kind of admire them here in the community?
I admire a lot of women. I feel like as a small business owner, and I know we're gonna touch up on my own story, but coming in from, I started a business from literally knowing zero, like knowing nothing, to meeting so many like powerful women in the community who are doing like, they're inspiring women, they're doing the thing, they're working hard. I don't know, do you want me to name some?
Yeah, go ahead. Like whoever you see, like man, they're always on top. Like for instance, like me on top of my head, because I'm friends with her, but Angelica from Artemia. I love seeing her post because she's always in her little candle stuff and like, you know, mixing up stuff and like testing. She's like, we text and she's like, oh, I'm like getting dizzy with all these aromas and all this, but she's like in her game, like, you know, she's in her little world, you know, and she still has a 9-to-5 job and kids, and she's like in that studio of hers, you know, crafting and doing something, you know, different. So that's what I love seeing like Instagram posts like that, or just hearing the people who are like from like 9 to from early in the morning to like past midnight trying to figure their world out, you know, putting the kids to bed and then continue on their hustle, you know, with their side business. Hopefully one day will be a full-time business. But I really do like seeing that in women and men, anybody really who I see like, man, they're so passionate. So this is why, actually the reasons why I like being on Instagram and TikTok, because my feed is more crafters and all that stuff. So I love seeing people doing their jam, like they're in their shit, like, you know, they're just, you know, really, I love seeing them, I love seeing them in their element. It inspires me and everything, but I do have some qualities that I'm lacking that I'm working on, therapy, that I'm trying to like push, overcome, right? So, but I really do love seeing people doing that. I'm pretty sure you're more around it a little bit more often than I am.
Yeah, I think the first person that comes to mind that I always see hustling would be Nancy from El Retonito.
Okay.
And she's friends with Angelica, so I'm pretty sure like she should be one of your guests one day. But you just always see her working really hard, and me being an artist, right, that creates everything from a square of clay to everything that I make, like everything that I sell I make, right? And so I truly admire other women who do the same. Like she buys the purses, but she paints everything on there. Her designs are very unique. And so, you know, I've enjoyed watching her process of the way the idea comes to life. And I just love, you know, the final touches that she adds on everything. And so I find her very inspiring. Her work is, you know, it's just amazing. And so, you know, being able to see her work and grow is really special.
Nice. Yeah, I definitely love seeing all that stuff. It just amazes me how I'm an artist myself, but I always push myself like aside. But the thing is what I am needing is that I need to push forward my fear, and my fear then triggers procrastination and self-doubt. So all that stuff is just like, I'm a very perfect but imperfect person. I don't like for things to really kind of mesh together. I just like to go and do things because it's like what I want to do. But I'm also a perfectionist because I don't want to get started because I feel like I don't have everything. You know what I mean? So I'm like, and I'm just in my head. So, but you know, I'm getting closer. It's 2022. I feel like, you know, I'm here like, okay, I think I'm ready to share what I do. You know, so and start like, pushing towards that. But definitely, you know, seeing like Retonito, Angelica, seeing all these other, goodness, she's very that.
Yes.
I love everything very that. She's a very unique person.
Yes.
And she's very passionate about her craft. And I really love just going to like craft fair events and just like, I'm like that person who's just observing everybody.
Yeah.
And if I have the money, I'm buying everything for everybody's booth that day, even if it's the smallest thing, like I'm going to go ahead
just
and
to support,
and support. But I love doing all that stuff, and it's just like seeing people just thrive in their element. So that's really amazing. So, seeing people thrive and you actually living it too as well. I see your earrings are beautiful, by the way. My dog's name is Frida,
oh,
so
I have
a big fascination over Frida. So that's like, she's my girl, but definitely, love that. And one of my TikTok streams is clay artist, and because I love the process of like, it's just how it burns from scratch to the thing, a block, crazy. And like all this art, and like swishing it, and it's like, wow, I don't have the patience for that, that's I don't do clay, so I'm like, I need things, I don't have the patience for a lot of things, but I'm very ADD about things. So you have really found your niche, so I'm throwing it to you, you're running your business, so go ahead and talk a little bit, what got you, well, first off, I do like to know, like, what got you going to clay, like, how did you know clay was your jam, like, your thing?
So I don't think I've mentioned this enough on my page, but when I used to be a dispatcher for the sheriff's office.
Ooh,
back in 2015 to 2014 to 2016. And I had a trainer who on her free time, she would just do, she would work with beaded jewelry. Oh, have you seen like, they're called seed beads, and they're really
tiny.
I like people, if you just look up like Native American jewelry, that's exactly what you think. So I was like very intrigued by seeing just her with a needle. It's literally like sewing, but you're sewing beads together. So when we would have slow days, she actually taught me how to make that. So I started making earrings and just loved it. And then I kind of stopped. I moved to a different apartment and like put my stuff elsewhere. And then COVID hit, and someone was like, hey, do you still make your earrings? Like, I'd love to buy some for my aunt. It's her birthday. And I was like, oh, sure. Like, let me pull it out. And I just realized that it took a really long time to make that specifically. It is a craft. So it really bugs me when I see people selling them for $5. I'm like, I know just one earring took at least an hour. Like, I know the work. So I did it. I finished the earrings, and I was like, this actually wasn't as much fun. It was kind of a little frustrating. So I did an Amazon search and was like, what can I make jewelry with? And polymer clay came up. And so I ordered a couple of like the like cubes. I ordered a couple of them, and I just started messing with it in my apartment. I was still working full time at a law firm, and so it was just really exciting to find something completely different. I by no means would consider myself creative, like in any way back in 2020. And so when I started messing with it and just like really having fun with making creations and everything that I did, it turned into a business. I can't even explain it. I started a page, so I started selling them once I was like, I've made like 20, and we're in COVID, so I'm not even going out. I don't even wear them, right? I'm like at home, I'm not even wearing jewelry. So I was like, maybe some friends would like them. So I started selling them, and then I was like, I don't know. I truly like couldn't tell you where I was like, I should just have a separate page for this. And so then I created a name, and it just blossomed from there. 2 years later.
Nice. 2 years later, and you actually celebrated today, right? Your 2-year anniversary. Congratulations!
Thank you.
You're almost like we were talking before. Like that 3-year marker for a lot of businesses is important. Like a year, and it's kind of like an awkward number for me. I thought it would be like more of an even number, but 3 years apparently. Like if you pass those 3 years, you're good. You're pretty much set and established in your niche, and hopefully now more profit will be coming back to you at that time. So many blessings and more good vibes towards your way. I've seen your art and everything, and it's just like I'm amazed by your talent and like your earrings. They're like, oh, look at that! I need to touch it before I fall out because I'm a
please do that. It took too long to have a broken girl.
I'll touch it please. But definitely. So what is your like aspirations like with with your personal business? Like, what do you feel like? Okay, so you're 2 years, so
Yes.
year 3, what are you planning? Because I know you're planning already for year 3.
Absolutely. I mean, I have all of my markets booked through December, so
Nice.
so definitely planning for that. But last year I gave myself a goal about trying wholesale
Oh, okay.
and selling around town. So I really just put myself out there
Okay.
and accepted the no's and then worked with the yeses. And now I'm in 9 different stores nationwide.
Wow, it's amazing.
And so I think that's my goal.
Just to go now be more stores and boutiques.
Yeah.
You know, Target, I mean, that's good vibes. You know how they're accepting a lot of like Latino artists in there, creators. Yeah.
I actually bought a couple of dresses from Tabitha Brown.
Yeah.
Obsessed. And I love that, you know, she is just like her own person, like on social media. And she's a creative, and she has a whole line with them.
She has a whole line with them.
Very inspirational.
It's very nice. Actually, you know who does also pick up local creators too is Walmart. Actually, one of my daughter's friends, they own a sub company, and they actually were able to. They were highlighted for the handcrafter for Walmart, so they were able to get connected with Walmart too. So that's another option too.
Well, one day,
that's amazing though. Yeah, that's definitely, especially if you go down that route, the wholesale market.
So before I started a business, I really enjoyed traveling. And then my boyfriend really loves to travel. So, you know, with doing markets every weekend, it's kind of hard. And so I would love to be at a point where I am continuously creating and having other people sell for me, like wholesale consignment, whatever that means, but on a greater scale. And then maybe I only come out and do 5 markets a year. Yeah. And then have my weekends again, and just have, you know,
more control over your personal life.
I mean, I'm working on it. I'm very, very blessed to like be so like, I worked at a law firm, so I'm very organized. Like, I literally wrote answers to like what you sent me.
Possibilities.
Or and like topics and subtopics and stuff, and like working with deadlines and all of that. But I mean, you know, I really hate to tell my boyfriend like, hey, we can't do this because I have a market or I'm doing this. And during COVID, it was fine because, you know, we really can't do anything. But I would just love to get back to traveling and doing those things that I love and finding inspiration from my travels, which is truly what initiated like the way that I design anything. So yeah, I love more control of my personal life and continuing to grow my brand. So.
That's nice. I was actually one of the questions. I was like, your time, like your own personal, because this is your full time already. It is.
Nice. So I quit my. I used to be a paralegal. I was that for 8 years. I studied criminal justice at UTSA. Like, had so many things that I wanted to do, and this kind of just fell into my lap. I fell in love with it. It truly like encompasses everything that I've always wanted my life to be, which is crazy. Right. And so, I was able to, I fought it for a really long time. You know, coming from a Latina background, your parents are like, you're going to be a teacher, you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to be
entrepreneur wasn't a thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially like, I guess, you were from El Paso, I'm from El Valle, so it's raised differently too as well. But it's very traditional of seeing, especially women, they want us to be seen like either very well educated in a company that's like a company or either married off to like a very rich man or educated.
Oh yeah, you know? I mean literally every time we go out, my parents will call me that, they'll say that I'm the lawyer. They're like, oh, she's a lawyer so she can help you, and I'm like, no, I'm not. I worked with lawyers, so I do understand. I can read documents and I can do all that, but you know, that for them, you can tell that that's something that they're very proud of.
Very proud of, yeah.
So I struggled with that a lot. Of course, unstable income, like you just every month is different.
Every month is different,
You know, and so just it was honestly one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. I don't think I've ever have thought about being like, hey, maybe I should go and ask for my job back. So I'm going on. This will be month 9. since I've been full-time with Deziner.
Wow, that's great. That's great. So month 9, you're like still good, and you know the ups and downs. Yeah, that must be hard for the family just to like fully. They'll see you in the entrepreneur, like she's your own. Like they'll get to that point where they become comfortable. They feel comfortable. But you know it's very traditional, very understanding, especially in the Latino. You would think that we'd be more entrepreneurial, like, but we're not really. We're
but
so
our
great.
ancestors like would
That's how
sell, like they sell like all the artisans, like that's actually something that they do for a living. But I can understand, you know, our parents wanting us to be all of these great things, and
do you think it's more like the whole finding of the American dream kind of thing? This
absolutely.
Not in that, you know, realm or that we wanting you to have kind of thing.
And also like a pride thing where they want you to. They want to be able to show you off and say, "Ooh, this is my daughter, the lawyer, like my daughter," you know. But my parents have come around. My stepdad is actually, he's owned his own business for over 30 years. And so I never like really put that together where I was like, oh, now I have a business. Like I'm my dad. But I, you know, every time I get into a new store or like every time I have a big order, like I'll text him and he comes to my markets.
Oh, nice.
He loves to go and sit down and hang out and just watch me interact. And, you know, he's very proud of me, and it makes me very happy that I was so scared of them not being proud of me. Because for me, I've grown up. I'm the only one that went to college, first one to graduate from high school out of 5. The only one out of 5 to go to college. So I had this thing in my back where I have to go all the way up. Like I have to be the president of this United States to make them proud, because I'm, not that my other siblings aren't successful, but you know, in ways of like standards of successful in written word, I would say I'm the most successful, right? So, you know, I thought that was the way to do it, but you know, I'm so much happier, and
I think that's like the goal for it, is just to be happy, you know. I am not afraid of being an entrepreneur, like doing this. Like obviously, the future goal is for this to be my full time, or even my art to be my full time. But I am not afraid of that now. My partner is very more comfortable in the 9 to 5. Like he wants to like scale in the company, which is fine too. But it's just different when the other person's not used to. He's like, he kind of panics a little bit. It's like, ooh, what you're gonna like?
My boyfriend is the same way.
We're gonna figure it out. We'll figure it out. You know, there's a way. We're gonna figure it out. I'm not gonna say I'm gonna fall to this like right now, but when the time is right, you know. Excuse me. I'll be right. It's gonna happen, and I'll be. You'll be seeing me more, but you know, that's definitely just. You know, it doesn't not only happen from your family having the fear of you like getting away from the education, and it also comes from like families, you know, your support system, your partner, even yourself. Like that's like a lot of people. That's what you said. Like it's scary to leave your 9 to 5 and just to fully commit to your business once you feel like the time is right. So I feel like I do see that a lot of people that they're ready to let go of that job, but they're still like self-doubt a little bit.
Oh yeah, I thought that for a really long time. And just, you know, of course, I think the biggest thing was just stable income and like knowing that, hey, you know, my boyfriend and I live together. So I'm like, I want to make sure I'm making my bills. I'm paying my car off. Like none of that stops because I've decided to do a career change, you know. But, you know, I'm very humbled and I'm very grateful that it's worked out. I just truly believe in myself and I believe in my craft, and I'm just proud of all of it. And so it's nice to meet women like you who are like interested in knowing the story, and just so many other people that like believe in it too. So I hope to like, you know, by sharing stories like this, like women are like, okay, it's my time. Like if they can do it, like I can do it too. Like I'm deserving of it. So
that's like really important. I feel like that's why the deserving part, knowing your value, your time, and believing in your craft, that's really important, because some women have a lot of talent, but they don't believe in that people will buy it, or that they're pricing it too pricey, you know. That's like really, like I feel like I'm gonna touch base with you when we go a little bit more further in, but I feel like it's like super important just because of us pushing forward and into our craft, right? So I know this is your baby, you know, Deziner Clay. You do amazing about it. This is your full time, but I also know you with regarding the market. So talk like what got you into the market? Because I know you create a market, you host a market. What's the name of the market that you host?
It's called the Market SATX.
Okay, I just wanted
super clever, right?
But it's clever, but it's you remember it, and people are like, okay, yeah, I need to go to that.
It's
one.
the market.
The market.
You know?
It's the market.
That's how you say
it. It's the market. So what made you? You're busy with your own like art, with your own business.
Yes.
So what made you now also carry this other workload on you? Like what inspired you? What made you want to create a market?
Yeah. So I actually got denied from being a vendor at a market earlier this year.
Okay.
It was for International Women's Day. And I was like, I empower women. Like, why wouldn't I get accepted? So I was a little sad about it.
Yeah.
It was in Dallas. And then I was like, I love the idea of celebrating women. So I decided to create a one-time market for International Women's Day. And I got with a coffee shop and we, I curated it. I put it together. By that point in March, it was March 5th, I've probably done over 150 markets.
Wow.
Like I was like hustling 2021, like getting my brand out there like every single weekend. So I was like, I feel confident. I feel like I've learned enough to know how to curate a market. So I did, and it was very successful. Thankfully, like the support was just overflowing. And so I just had people asking me to throw more.
Nice. It's always good. You did a good job.
Yeah. And I feel like I'm very much of a nurturer. So it was very much like I wanted to encompass things that other organizers don't.
Oh.
And I know that there's a difference there's a lot of people who do this full time, but they only organize and they don't have the knowledge that a vendor does. And I'm like, there's different, like we're human. We don't just show up for 4 hours and that's it. Like we need amenities. We need restrooms. We deserve to have a food truck, not just for your customers, but for your businesses, like your vendors. So that was one of my things. And so that's one of my requirements for the markets. So what I do is a travel market. I go and reach out to different businesses, and if they have, free restrooms for our vendors, free parking, and just access to those two things. I work with them and I'm like, I'll do everything. You just, we'll talk before, we'll plan it together, and you tell me what times work best for you, what days, we'll schedule it, and I just curate it.
Oh, so nice. Okay, well that's great. I was going to ask you, like, what makes your market different from the other people who curate, and that's just good that you're coming at it at a vendor perspective.
Yes.
And you make them feel welcome, taken care of. I think that's important.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you show up and they're like, oh, we don't have restrooms here. You have to figure it out, or you have to pay for your own parking. I've seen that, and I've been involved in that a couple of years ago. Or it's just like you just see them in the beginning, but you're like, I like, you don't see them throughout the whole market.
It's one of my pet peeves.
It's like, okay, where's the person who I first contacted in the 6 o'clock in the morning when I got here? And it's already 12, and I kind of need a bathroom break. Who's gonna help out? Kind of thing. Especially there's some vendors that don't have that support, or maybe they didn't have their backup, like the person to help them there. So it's good to know that you're kind of seeing it very well, like in the vendor perspective too, and taking care of them, and just having those basic amenities like the restroom for the vendors, parking, and food and stuff like that for them too as well, which is great. So you've done 150 markets.
Right now, probably a lot more. That was like March of 2020. Well, this year.
Of this year.
Probably.
Yeah, of this year. Gee, that's a lot. That's a lot of weekends, a lot of days that you've been busy, girl. Like, no wonder you have a tan.
Trust. I know, right?
It's a good tan you have. But oh my goodness, yeah, that's a lot. And that's a lot on top of your own business too.
Yes.
So definitely understand why one of your goals is like you're managing your personal time and like being more of that aspect too as well. From like your markets experience, like has there been like the biggest blunder? Like, oh my god, like I cannot, or like what has been not the biggest blunder, but the most like heartache, or like the also opposite that, like what's been the most rewarding from it?
I would say I'll start off with the most rewarding, which has been getting to know like so many small businesses and like being able to share. So the way that I always come out from it is like, hey, I'm a human. I also happen to own a small business. So like anything comes up, like talk to me. I'm not trying to take I'm not trying to take your money. I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to make you like the reason for me going to different locations.
Because you get a repeat vendor too. Like, oh, I make money in her event, so I'm definitely gonna always make sure I have my stuff together so I can be at your event. So
And also like, I also have requirements. I'm like, I need you to arrive. You can't arrive 20 minutes before. If you do, you're forfeited. Because that just adds stress to me about like checking in at that moment. I don't have the time for that. So for me, it sounds weird, but like I'm teaching them responsibility and like respect. I'm like, if I communicate with you and I respect you enough to give you all of the instructions, send you pictures, everything that you need to be successful, you have to respect my time too. You know, so I'm like, so you can't arrive 5 minutes before. That's not acceptable. And it shouldn't be acceptable in any market. But also, it allows you for time to de-stress. Like, hey, you set up, oh, I still have 30 more minutes. Let me go grab some coffee. Let me go use the restroom. Let me go park my car wherever I want it. Like, it's not to be a jerk. It's like, I'm giving you at that time to de-stress and because you deserve it.
You become more presentable for like the person who's like there early and they're still seeing the vendor, you know, set up, or they look very frazzled, very tired. And you know, it's also a good like to come in early, that you respect your time too as well, but also it shows off really well for them too as well as a vendor, because they're showing up ready and presentable, and then that will also encourage other businesses or other people who host markets to want to invite them to that market too. So yeah, definitely understand that. What are the other requirements that you have?
Honestly, just those two. So for vendors, I do curate it to where you're not going to go to my market and you're not going to have 4 jewelry people. You're not going to have 3 people selling pastries and 1 person selling art. You know, so I curate it out of respect for our customers, because then you see the same things and you get bored, right? You stop looking. And then second, for our vendors, because who wants to be at another? I've been at plenty of markets where they put me next to a clay maker. And our work may be different, but our spiel is still very similar. And people are gonna be like, I've been to like places and they're like, oh, you make clay too, and I'm like, no. Well, like, yes, but like it's very different. And then I feel like that doesn't help my business. So out of respect for customers and our vendors, like I curate it to make sure that everyone has a fair chance of making profits.
And also, you know, I also find when there's like a lot of repetitive like artists, then the customer becomes really brave and starts bargaining with you. Well, that person sells it for this, you know, and you're telling me the same product. So that kind of just protects everybody all around.
So that's been the up, you know, just meeting people and like, you know, just really like using that as learning experience for me as a vendor, but also just organizing markets. The downs, I feel it's a little hard to work with people. I struggle a lot with like the professionalism / wanting to be
part of the community,
but also wanting to be like, I do have standards, but also I'm a human, like I do have a sense of humor. I'm not like a stick telling you what to do. So I struggle with that. I would say that's the down, where I want to be respected, but I don't want people to not feel like they can talk to me.
You're not approachable.
Right, and I don't think that I've asked plenty of people, I'm like, am I approachable? Like, am I bitchy right now? Like, tell me, let me know.
You're doing my resting bitch.
Like,
you're readjusting.
Like, if I'm looking stressed, please let me know, because that is not the vibe at all. Like, you know, but yeah, I would say that's what I struggle more. And then, you know, sometimes things don't work out with certain, like, people that host you. They want to take advantage of you. And so just being able to stand up for yourself and let them know that your work is valuable and that your time is valuable, and that if they're not doing the work, they don't get to, you know, call you out on certain things. So, I guess those would be the downers, but definitely a lot more ups than downs.
I definitely, I can imagine just, I mean, just living in that community and just always knowing that you're getting that you're not getting, but you're extending your own knowledge and your own like popularity, your own like what is it when people know you for reputation?
Oh,
Because,
yes.
they know you as like, she's a good artist, she throws good markets, and then you're extending that to the vendors, and then people are like, oh, okay, if they're vendoring her market, that means that they're, you're extending that
Mm-hmm.
to them too as well and being exposed. Now, I do find some certain markets become very repetitive.
Yes.
Or they become very inclusive. Like it's like the same people that they vendor.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh, but like I'm okay with it, but also kind of throws me out like, man, but there's so many other vendors that don't get the opportunity to get into those big markets.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's where I feel like, okay, we have to, like, people have to kind of like shake it up a little bit and throw in new vendors. So
yes.
I just like seeing like new markets coming up or like new like communities coming up and stuff, and helping like the people who are starting up really fresh and don't have this big following, and just giving those opportunities and knowing that you don't have like a list of like, I mean, you have your requirements, of course.
Yes.
But I have seen some market requirements that are like really, really long, and it's like, oh God, you have so many followers. You have
no, definitely not.
And it's like, wow, but how are the people who are barely starting off? You're gonna tell them, why do you see your Instagram page to see how it's curated? And I'm like, okay, but if they only have like one or two things, then they're barely getting off from there. They're trying to like push themselves off the ground. So I do appreciate that too as well.
Yeah.
As far as the markets, have you ever considered like doing any like virtual markets? Have you ever seen those too as well?
I was a part of one, and it was from LA, and I just really didn't know what was going on.
It was kind of like an auction, or what was going on?
Truly, like I could tell you right now, I was a part of it, and I don't know what happened. Like I didn't make a single sale, so that's for sure. But like I truly couldn't tell you like what. It was like an app, and it was like you have like an avatar.
Oh, okay.
And then they have other avatars, and so people like the virtual people, they go into your market, and you're supposed to talk with them, but like that never happened. So I truly like don't even know. They never followed up. So I was like, I don't know, did I do it right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know how it worked out like at all. So I was like,
it was probably just a little bit too complicated at that point. It wasn't as simple as just like, this is what, showing your art there too as well.
Yeah.
So like I know I asked you in your personal, like your goals for your personal business. I know the goal is to go into boutiques, into stores, and then you mentioned only like doing 5 markets a year. So what would be your goal for your D market?
D market, SATX. I really want to, like, one of the bigger goals is not really just to host a market for that purpose, but I really love to work with coffee shops because I'm a morning person.
Okay.
I like to go, if I want to
Definitely not, I'm not saying that.
I'm like, if I'm going to do a market, I love to get it out, like, as a business, I'd love to get it out of the way in the morning. And I partner up with coffee shops, so you go and grab your coffee already. The coffee shop has their own reputation, so you're gonna get those customers, plus you get market, like business vendor customers, so it just makes it a bigger deal. I guess if I wanted to go long term, it couldn't just be 5 markets a year. Since I'm trying to do like monthly curated markets. But maybe
hiring an assistant who will help you.
That would be really neat. That would be a goal. But yeah, absolutely. I think maybe an assistant, but maybe just having like some consistency, like maybe a market a month.
Okay.
So yeah, maybe that makes it 12.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe for Deziner like that.
Yeah, but I mean that's 12 compared to 150 plus you've been doing. That's like a big hustle right there too. That's amazing. You're doing that much, and you're keeping everybody busy. The businesses, everybody, the vendors, and yourself too as well.
And that's what I tell them too. I'm like, look, there is like a small vendor fee for the businesses, but I have a cooler, I fill it up with water, and I fill it up with ice, and so throughout the market, like, I'm passing out waters. Like, hey, the restrooms are there, I restock the restrooms for the businesses.
Nice.
And then, like, we support them by bringing them business. So it really is just like a full circle. Yeah, it's not, not that other market organizers take advantage, but there's definitely, you can tell that they've not done it before.
Yeah.
Where they just,
it's almost show up and it's okay, we're gonna
fly
with whatever happens. Yeah, kind of then it makes like a kind of a bad taste on the business owner who like opened up their space for them, kind of thing. I do definitely see that. Now with you seeing on the vendor side and also hosting and seeing other vendors, what kind of tips do you give out to women or men or anybody who's trying to like trying to get into a market or trying just to pursue their business? Like, what kind of tips would you give?
So, short little plug, I actually do have a third Instagram page.
Okay.
As if I'm not busy enough.
Yeah, I know.
So it's called SATX Chingona.
Okay.
And I started that as a page early January of this year.
Okay.
Because I got so many questions like that on the designer page. And because I started from zero, I figured that I could help other women and men along the way of my journey and sharing tips. So if y'all are interested, check out SATX Chingona. I actually post tips on like, what do you need as a first time business owner? Like you're wanting to get into markets, what are the basic things you need? Like what kind of tent, what kind of tablecloths, like how do you want to receive payment? So I have a bunch of graphics on there. I also share like, you want to open a business bank account, these are the requirements. How do you get registered for a business? What are those requirements? You want to do consignment or wholesale. These are the differences. Like this is how to go about it. How do you approach businesses to work with them? So that's where I post all of the shareable tips. But I
think I follow you on that page. And
do you?
I've been wanting. I always refer to your market as the Chingona market, but I'm confusing pages. That's where you get your tips.
I should have made it the Chingona market, but I was working with some other people, and I was trying to make it a name that was for everyone, and then they ended up being jerks and not even being a part of it. So I'm like, no, maybe I can change the name. But,
yeah, exactly.
So they're all completely different, but they're all under me. So I guess as far as tips, I like to tell people to just do their research. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Like, you know, if you're struggling with like setting up a tent, like reach out to a business friend and be like, hey, like, can you show me how to do this?
Yeah.
Because we all are struggling.
Yeah.
We all started off from nothing.
Yeah.
And so we're learning as we go, and I feel like if you're like me, I struggled a lot at the very beginning because I didn't know anyone. I didn't know anything. YouTube was my friend. Podcasts and all of that, you know? And so I want to be that friend who you reach out to if you're like, you know, how do I set up a rewards program on my website? Here, let me send you a link. This is how I did it. This is how I do it. Like I want people to feel comfortable enough to know that they have someone who
they can reach out to.
They can reach out to who is like, you know me. You see me as a person. Like I'm not like, please, I'm too good. Like this is, you know, I'm very much like I'm still very young to be doing like all the things I do. So I don't have it all together, but I will help you out as much as possible. So that's what the SATX Chingona page was built for, just to not
get all those questions going.
Yeah, and to not have people like get lost in my DMs.
Yeah.
So just wanted to not be like rude, and it's like, hey, how do I file taxes? Hey, sorry, like 3 months later, this is how you do it. So with having a different space for that, I feel like I can have those conversations. Yeah. I do vendor spotlights, so you know I get people on my page, and I just, you know, some days I just sit down on social media and I'm like, share. Okay. Tag. Like follow all these people. And then, excuse me, I'll do that some other days, and some days it's mental health. So one of them is I love to talk about mental health because a lot of us have a full-time business, have a full-time job, just like I did. And I'll tell you right now, I was not doing good. I was struggling a lot. And so now one of my focuses is like, take care of yourself. Like you can do great things, but you have to be great here. And physically you have to take care of yourself. You can't go 7 hours without using the restroom and drinking water. Like those are basic necessities. You deserve them. So, you know, if you follow my page, I'm always like, don't forget to hydrate. Like don't forget to set your alarms. Like take a break, go for a walk. Like go eat something.
I know, the reminders, the basics you think that we would do, but we don't. We deny them a lot.
And because you're overworking yourself. And I've just, you know, I've learned the hard way. Like just because you're working doesn't mean that you're doing quality work. And so, you know, if you're stressing and you're trying to do things at a time, you're not going to do any of those things right.
Yeah.
So, I'm big on, like I said, lists
Yeah.
and deadlines and reminders and all of those things that have helped me not go crazy while I manage 3 pages.
I know.
While I try to host markets.
Yes.
While I try to have a
Even
successful
though you
business.
are working on your own, this is a full-time job. Like, it's just because not 9 to 5, it's probably 9 to like midnight.
Yeah, you're
on
telling
certain
me.
days, but it's still, you're doing what you're following the beat of your own drum, and
Yes.
you're doing your passion, and
Yes.
and you're even like encouraging other people to do their own passion. So that's like what really pays off at the end.
Yeah.
is that reward, and that's gonna end up helping your mental health too. Because man, I just hate seeing people being stuck at their job and their passion is like to do theater, to do this. But at least I do see some people who do it, like they're trying to get there, right? But then I see some people who are like not pursuing those hobbies or passion because they have to follow, like they're still following what they think they should follow, and it's just hard to let go sometimes. So it's always rewarding to hear other women to let go of that, and there is some guilt with it, and that comes with it, of course, but it's just overcoming those, and will live your passion through it too. Now, you did mention something I do like about some people are very stuck about I can only do one thing, and you are doing 3 things, and you do 3 pages. It is overwhelming. It is going to be a lot of managing, but that shows a lot of people that just because you start off in one thing doesn't mean you have to stick with that. You can actually create other versions of you in the world of social media. Now it's so much easier. And you can spread your mission and your passion 3 different ways. I have like a couple of pages I haven't touched, but I created, but those are the projects I'm working on. Make sure, okay, this is how I need to like really concentrate on like focusing on what I want to portray myself. But I also have already come with peace knowing that I am a very ADD person, and the way, like Mimosas is one way, but I also have another. I actually started Mimosas originally with an original podcast that was just by myself, and that was more addressing sexual positivity because I'm a rape survivor. So I was trying to use that podcast as retelling my my story, and then reconnecting my adult years, and reconnecting with sex in a healthier way, right? So that's how I started off that. Took a pause with that. Actually took a pause around COVID time, and then took a pause with everything. And then, I started like, let me start off with Mimosas and Comadres and see if I can retouch that again later on. But there's such different ways that you're not just always stuck in one little niche. And I think that's where a lot of people get very overwhelmed. Like, I'm only going to concentrate on this, and that means I have to shut everything else off. Once you get comfortable with what you start off with, you can definitely branch yourself out and have as many pages as you want, as long as you're able to keep yourself organized like how, you are with the list and everything else, and that's hard too to do, but that's something you can definitely branch yourself out. Don't always feel like you're always stuck in one little market, especially in the art creative realm, and sometimes we kind of put ourselves our own like little square, and we're afraid to branch out, or what if we branch out but we're not fully 100% educated in that. Like, you'll get to that point too as well, just like how you're learning your niche as well. So I think that was like really dope of you to say, and like for you to do regarding like, okay, I'm not only just a entrepreneur, own my own business. Now I create markets, and now I am showing other people how to start their own business. And they have your own pages and your own persona regarding those pages too as well. So I think that was really important for to highlight as well.
Advice, believe in yourself. Break all of those stigmas of what are people gonna say about me? What do people, erase those voices and do what makes you happy. At the end of the day, like, it doesn't matter like how much money you're doing at that office job. If you are miserable with your job, everything else encompasses that. Like, you bring misery with you, so, just choosing your happiness. There's different ways to figure it out. I truly believe in like being patient and like giving yourself the grace and the space to figure that out. Like, don't just jump into it because you're like tired of it and like, okay, no, that's a little irresponsible. But like, take your time, research, find yourself to be able to fully like serve yourself truly. So I would just say that, like, you have to believe in yourself. You gotta know your worth, know your value, and just once you start believing in yourself, the confidence, people radiate to that.
Yeah, definitely. People do radiate to that. And one important thing is to know your worth regarding prices and stuff like that. Because I do see some vendors kind of giving in because they do need to make the money, but also feel the pressure that they need to like lower down the prices. And I hate seeing it because I'm like, oh, I know that's like a lot of work. I see a lot of videos. That's a lot of work. But okay, but I've gone to a lot of vendor events, and my daughter, she loves to buy like the purses that are decorated and just a lot of stuff. And her eye is like very good in buying the most expensive thing on the table.
That's truly me.
Oh my god! I was like, okay, and then so we don't see the prices, and she really likes it, and I don't want to say no because I know the vendor put their heart in. It's like really good product, so I'm like, sure, I'll take it, but it's like $80 or $100, you know what I mean? So it's like, okay, cool. I know it's a good quality product. I'm supporting them, and so it's just something that no, you were like maybe the first 5 customers tell you no, but you're gonna find that customer. You're gonna find me in your table, and my daughter frustrated, like, Mom, like I want this, and I'll say yes.
You have to buy it,
and I'll say yes. So always look out for the girl with the frizzy curly hair. That would be me. But yeah, no, you always find that person that will buy your products, and I always see that online, like people talking like, yes, people wanting to like bring down my price, and then they eventually bring it up again because they see the time is money, and not just the supplies you're building, but the time is money, your hands hurting, that all that is worth to add into your products, and you will find your customers. Like once you find the customers that love your stuff, they're gonna go follow you to different markets, and buy your stuff online or go see you in person, so that way you can get the product from you in person. And
I've learned that.
Sure. I'm pretty sure with your products too as well.
Yeah, my first year I was like, if someone would walk away, they'd say, and I'd be like, oh, that one's 15% off, and like shortchange myself. And now, I've just learned I don't do a lot of sales. I do them very, very, not as often as I used to. It used to be like every month we used to be a sale. Like every month you have a chance to win a gift card, and I'm like, but what am I really gaining? Like people are following me for freebies.
For free stuff,
or like for a discount, and like I put too much time and effort to offer it at a discounted price. So you're absolutely right. With the right people, you will find that there's how many billion people in this world?
There's always
like 8,
there's like a market for everybody. Like I always say, like if people are selling their farts in cups and their underwear through mail, they're gonna buy your art.
And people truly, and people actually do buy that, which is disgusting. Buy that.
People make full-time jobs doing this. Like there's TikTok how-tos to start this, and don't tell me how I know, okay? Because I've gone down the rabbit hole way too many times.
Me starting a 4th
page. Those pages, and just people showing them like how to like. They're buying like those sealed processing bags, so to seal your food, your meat, to like process your underwear, and I'm always telling you, if there's a market for any of that stuff, there's always gonna be a market for your art, for your creations. You just gotta find it. You just have to find it and be consistent. Like you said, the first year is the roughest because you're getting yourself out there. But the more years, the more consistency people see you out there doing things, that's when they're gonna start following you and like buying your stuff. It's just something that we need to learn to give ourselves grace, which is really important, what you said, and just be patient with the process and just continue to do what you love and just throwing it out there, because if you don't throw yourself out there, who's going to find you in your room doing your stuff? Like no one's there to appreciate it, so just might as well go for it, and like just do it as a go for it moment, but also as an organized moment too. You have to find that balance of not to be too over organized, because I feel like people get really in their head and that stops them from throwing the product out. So just really figuring that balance out. But I think that's life. You always have to figure a balance out with everything. It's never going to be perfect the first time around. You find things, and I think that's important. We're talking about grace and everything else and knowing your worth. That's actually one of the quotes for the episode today. Is pretty much know your worth and add tax. It's so important to know that, not just by products, but like your time with people, in your relationships, in your career, if that's what you're heading for. Like ask for that promotion, ask for that position. Like you're worth it, especially if you're doing beyond what your title says. It's always good to ask, and if they tell you no, at least you know that okay, it's time to move to another company, right? And that who will value you in that position. So definitely, that's like I wanted to throw that quote in there because I feel like it's important for anybody to throw themselves out there in relationships, especially too as well. That know your worth and add that tax, because know no one sees the tears and the sweat that you're doing behind the closed doors, you know, all the YouTube searches. And honestly, with this podcast or podcast before that I did not know anything about podcasting. The way I learned is by listening to other podcasters and YouTube was my friend, and just going from there and like doing my research and figure out like what I can do my own budget. And you know, next year the goal is to get into a studio. So it's just, you know, little goals, a little more expensive goals, but I mean, it's something you need to do to push it forward, right?
True.
But that's all I have to say about that.
Maybe just to add, love what you do.
Yeah.
Like, do it with love. Like, people will see they won't physically see the sweat and tears, but they'll see the effort that's put into your work. So people really value that. And, you know, do a lot of behind the scenes work.
Yeah.
People, one of like my best contents is just doing what I'm doing. Yeah. People just love to see it.
You know, that's really important you said that, because if you want to throw yourself out there, you don't have that much content or so much product, record everything that you're doing.
Yes.
And it's hard, because I try to do this, but it's so hard because I forget. I'm like, oh, freak. I'm busy morning preparing for this, and I didn't do nothing.
Yeah.
But if you start getting used to being comfortable taking that phone out and recording yourself, that's content. And that's like just content that you just put together, that you're doing things. It's from the smallest things to like big events. Just record everything, really, because that's going to be very helpful to throw yourself out, especially on these social media apps. Yeah. Just to get your name out there. That's, people love seeing what other people are doing. Yes. It is. Yes. And then throwing your own products in there too as well is very helpful. But yeah, definitely you're right. Throwing, like, recording everything you do, like, you know, get ready with me things, or not even that put together, just like going to the store to go buy some supplies and like doing that stuff.
People love that stuff. Like, sometimes I will put in so much effort into some content and get 2 likes. I know. And then I post something of like, hey, here's my morning coffee, and like I took the day off, here's what I did, and people are like, oh, you went there, like this is what you did, like what detergent did you use? I'm like, that's what people I don't get it, I don't understand, but I'll hear
it's the algorithm of Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok, and you know, everything is so different.
It's a whole other podcast.
Yes, but you know, definitely if you're anybody, not even if you're starting a product, you want to promote yourself because you want to be like the influencing or whatever, or just like throwing your education out there, or like your experience, and want to go in that realm. Really just record everything you're doing and just getting yourself out there and just going for it. At the end of the day, I mean, they can just scroll by, not like it, whatever, but you eventually will develop that following, no matter what. So yeah, definitely, that's a good tip there for you as well. I was gonna say something right now, but I completely forgot.
That's fine.
I completely forgot. I was like,
and you're not even drinking a mimosa.
I'm not even drinking a mimosa. That's so sad. That's so sad that I didn't get any mimosas today. But yeah, that's it for this episode, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us. Follow her at
Deziner with an underscore. And if you want, the market SATX, and then SATX Chingona.
Awesome. So her 3 pages, and go follow her, show her some support, and get some advice for yourself, and get motivated, because I'm going to try to be motivated this year. And hopefully you'll see me, and maybe I'll market soon, or maybe one of her markets. We'll see. But I need to get my life together in that realm. You need to get some medication. That's what I need to do. Anyways, guys, y'all have a good one. Bye.